So Dragon Age, the Veilgard sales are coming in, and they are absolutely horrific. Dragon Age, the Veilgard is now set to cost BioWare over $200 million in losses. Today's videos come from Asmon Gold and Vara Dark. Their channels will be linked in the description, so you can go check them out and support them. And now let's just go ahead and jump right into the videos.
Are the numbers for Dragon Age right now good? In my opinion, no. So if Dragon's Dogma 2 had a top peak of 228,000 people, and then it had a sales record of 3 million copies, so Dragon's Dogma was talking about all sales from PS5 and also from PC, so then you could assume that 70,000 is a little bit more than a third of that.
Again, we don't have the console numbers, but we have Dragon's Dogma overall sales after 2 months and their peak Steam player numbers. Thus we can infer what Dragon's Age sales could be.
That the amount of sales that you would have for Dragon Age right now would be in between 600,000 and 800,000 copies sold if you use Dragon's Dogma as a point of reference. 800,000 times 60, so that's the amount of money that they made, 48 million. So there we go. This is the amount of money that they're getting after Steam, $33 million. How much did it cost to make the game? These are all going... No, that statement was not good. The development cost of Dragon Age could be between 80 and $150 million. I think that we can probably assume that as a AAA game that's had 10 years of development to it, at least $100 million was spent on this project. And this is, again, we are underselling the cost and we're overselling the sales. They are not even halfway towards making their money back. That's a really bad number. The game was pirated day one, by the way. Very good point, too. Man.
You can see the Dragon Age Veilgard sales are abysmal at this point, and literally just a day after the game was released by BioWare, they've already confirmed that there will be no future DLC for this game, which has costed roughly $250 million to develop. So they're only pulling in about $33 million from this game based on the math. This is why I said you have to be careful, because there's always some man checking the math. And based on the current estimates, they're only going to earn, at best, maybe around $33 million in profit for a game that cost roughly $250 million to develop and has been in development for 10 years. Keep in mind, Concord cost over $400 million for Sony to develop, and that game was also in development for 10 years. There are a lot of few jokers in the comments who are saying that these companies will simply be writing off these losses for years to come on their tax returns, and it won't cost them anything in the end. This is a level of stupidity. I understand the tax system to at least to a relatively decent degree, because I am a business owner. And here's the thing, you can only carry over and write off a certain amount for a certain period of time. So there are different accounting tricks that they can use, but it is limited. The amount of exposure, the amount that they can write off for the time frame that they can carry that over is limited. And if you have mounting losses and you are not taking in profit, it doesn't matter how much money these investment firms are giving them to push woke DEI initiatives. These companies are just going to die off. Look at what's happening at Ubisoft. They took a ton of that money, and now there is a fire sale over there. So let's read the article. BioWare has disappointing news for Dragon Age the Veilgard fans. Dragon Age the Veilgard won't have post-launch DLC. BioWare plans to shift focus to the upcoming Mass Effect game. BioWare recently revealed that Dragon Age the Veilgard will not have any post-launch DLC despite Dragon Age the Veilgard's success. BioWare wants to focus on its future projects following a different path than the one the studio took after Dragon Age Inquisition's launch. Dragon Age the Veilgard was released on October 31st after around 9 years of development. The previous game in the franchise, Dragon Age Inquisition, was launched in 2014, and it had 3 DLCs: Jaws of Hakkon, The Descent, and The Trespasser. BioWare's creative director John Epler recently revealed to Rolling Stone that there are no plans to develop DLC for Dragon Age the Veilgard. As soon as the new Dragon Age is fully patched, the studio's entire focus will shift to the development of the upcoming Mass Effect game. While this is disappointing news for fans who were excited to see more content in the Dragon Age universe, at least it means that the Veilgard will not suffer from the same issues as Inquisition did. Back in 2015, Dragon Age Inquisition was greatly criticized for having the true ending of its story set in the Trespasser DLC. So actually, this is pretty intriguing. Criticized for having the true ending of, okay, so I mean, it did go through quite a lot of changes. So yeah, I mean, this is Dragon Age of Veilgard, and as you can see, the characters in this game absolutely look horrific. This is like this is DEI all over, and these look like African American characters. They don't look like dark elves or another type of elf. This is just absolutely horrible. This is, and there's no explanation. Why are all these why are there all these different looking elves? Like, guys, they have completely destroyed this game. Completely destroyed this game in the name of diversity. It's so ugly. It is absolutely ugly. Look how these character designs and models are absolutely ugly. No one wants to play with characters that look this ugly. I'm just being very honest. All right, $250 million to develop this game, and this is the garbage that they have the nerve to put out. Absolute trash. Total trash, guys. Total trash. Okay? $250 million down the drain for this woke DEI pile of horse manure. Now, of course, the situation just keeps on getting worse and worse. There is an immense amount of censorship happening around Dragon Age the Veilgard. For example, it's now listed as mostly positive in terms of rating on Steam. However, if you go to the actual all reviews, you'll see it's just continuous amounts, tons of negative reviews. It is clear that Steam is removing these negative reviews, and what people have begun doing is they've actually begun posting positive reviews that are actually negative reviews so that they cannot be removed. So there's an immense amount of censorship happening on Steam right now. We can see that there was a lot of collusion by the mainstream media. There's some idiot saying that it's not a crime, even though I showed you it is absolutely a crime to conspire. It is absolutely a crime to create false reviews. It is a very serious crime that can result in $50,000 fines by the FTC. I saw an idiot in my comments like, I believe what they did was wrong, but it's not a crime. It's a crime. It's a crime, and it is also considered conspiracy. Okay, guys, these simps, I told you guys, these simps are a danger to society. All of the horrible things that have happened, all of the horrible things that continue to happen, it's because of these evil, disgusting, despicable simps. They won't stop, guys. The simp cannot help itself. It cannot stop being a simp. All right? That's why I told you, stop directing any anger towards women. It's not worth it. Okay? I'm not saying that people who do wrong should not be held accountable. But if you do this, you're just going to have people defending, and at the end of the day, you achieve nothing. The real testament is when you go after the simp and you put the blame firmly upon the evil, wicked, vindictive simp. Because it is the simp, the disgusting, despicable simp that is responsible for all of this. It is the demonic simp. It has the Jezebel spirit within it that is responsible for all of this. Simps are evil. You're foolish, many of you, defending these we are heading towards oblivion because of these evil, decrepit, sludge-filled, despicable beings, wicked beings. Okay? I cannot find the proper words to truly express my dismay and horror and absolute fury when it comes to the wicked simp. The simp cannot stop its evil. It can't stop until it is stopped. You have to shame it. You have to put it on blast. You have to let the world know who and what it is. And do not let it get away, because the simp is a wicked creature. Absolutely evil creature. So there's mass amounts of censorship happening right now around Dragon Age Veilgard. Not only are people being censored on Steam, they're also being censored on Reddit. So for example, if you are a member of Asmongold's Reddit, you are now auto-banned from the Dragon Age Veilgard Reddit. Auto-banned. Even if you say something positive in there, just like leave a nice message, you're auto-banned. Just because you are, if you subscribe to any other ideologies. So this is how horrible the game is, guys. Like, BioWare, never give them your money. These are people who absolutely hate you. They are dangerous. This level of censorship is frightening. It is on such extreme levels, and they think that people are going to buy Mass Effect. I mean, you have to be stupid to give BioWare any money. You would have to be stupid to trust BioWare. Like, we're basically all waiting to hear, Ubisoft shut their doors right now. They've shut down the Prince of Persia development team. They've basically said outright that they did not make their money back on Star Wars Outlaws, and they're in extraordinary financial constraints because of that. They've pushed back the release of Ghost of the next Assassin's Creed game, Assassin's Creed Shadows. So it's not coming out in 2024 anymore. They've canceled the early access for it. So everyone who basically paid over $100, I think it was $110 or more, because there was the gold plan and then the ultimate plan. The gold plan was like 110. The ultimate plan was like 160, and they would give you early access to the game. They've canceled the early access for those plans as well. So the game's not coming until 2025 now. I mean, it's absolutely abysmal. So we're just wait, and they're basically begging you. They're begging you to, like, not to buy their games, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, we're gonna release a new Rayman, and we're also gonna release a new Beyond Good and Evil." Here's something interesting. Evidently, the creator of Rayman, who was at the company for like 25 years, 30 years, was pushed out during the whole M2 debacle. So there were people who said that he was really hard to work with. He was a perfectionist, and they pushed him out of the company. He got Me Too'd out of the company, and now they're begging him to come back and trying to start working on a new project with him. These companies need to die and go away. They need to die. They need to go away. The AAA gaming scene needs to die, and we'll be left with AA games. Here's the thing about AA games that you don't seem to realize and understand. Games like Horizon Zero Dawn were not AAA games. They were AA games that rose to the occasion of AAA games.
BioWare has been having a very rough time with Dragon Age the Veilgard because tons of gamers online have been roasting them over the identity politics shoved into this title, but also how it's not what fans expected. It's a soft reboot, which hasn't sat well with a lot of people, and now we're finding out that BioWare is melting down and they are banning anybody with the quote wrong opinions on the Steam forums. Now, it's not particularly shocking to hear that this is happening. It does happen very often, whether it is on subreddits, which, yes, is most of the time not ran by actual developers or studio heads, but just people in the community, though they are pushing the same agendas as the activists behind these products. And now we're seeing BioWare banning anybody with the quote wrong opinions from the Veilgard community hub on Steam. And it's so disappointing because while these companies take everything so personally, they shouldn't. The reason why I am sitting here criticizing games on this channel is because I want them to be amazing again. I want BioWare to make amazing titles. I want companies to do better. I want this industry to thrive because I love video games, but instead they just freak out and melt down over us simply criticizing their products. And now this is exactly what is happening. Pirate Nation had posted, "You have been banned from the Dragon Age the Veilgard community hub. My pronouns are God/Emperor. Somehow I've got a feeling the OP wouldn't respect that though." And it says, While this ban is active, you will not be able to post or comment on the community hub or upload new content. We have another one, same exact thing. You can also see from this screenshot your access to the Veilgard lobby has been blocked until it says November 7th, so a full week, and it's all because this post contains content that is combative, argumentative, or is likely to derail the discussion. This type of content is not allowed, so basically any form of criticism, any form of debate is not allowed, which is so absurd. All they want is for people to praise them, which is not a healthy environment, in my opinion. A big reason why, again, gamers criticize companies is because we want them to do better. We want them to give us reasons to swipe our credit cards, but now they just do not allow that to happen anymore. And not only does it look bad for Steam and the game, it looks bad for the companies that are doing this. And we're also finding out that Asmongold had actually gotten banned from the subreddit. It says during his most recent stream, he posted to the subreddit a post titled, "I'm really excited for Dragon Age Veilgard," and based on a screenshot from his stream posted by an ex-user, he wrote in the body of the post, "It's my first Dragon Age game and I'm curious to see what all the hype is about." And then the post was removed from the subreddit and he was banned from the subreddit. So Steam's doing it, the subreddit's doing it. I mean, we are talking about full meltdown damage control mode, which really only causes the Streisand effect to happen. If you try to silence people, they will find another platform to go to. They will take to X, they will take to YouTube, they will find a way to voice how upset they are, and ultimately, they will not swipe their credit card on your game, which is what you need in order to be considered successful. This is such a pathetic situation that time and time again, this is happening.
Now, the effects of this are going to be substantial because people have lost trust in these companies. As you can see, BioWare is already moving on from Dragon Age the Veilgard, and they are now trying to move on to the next Mass Effect game. Guys, after doing this, do you think people are going to trust them and buy their garbage? Of course, there will always be the simps, but unless that game is like a true return to form, then don't consider it happening. A lot of people are not going to pre-order the game. There will always be the simps, like I said, who will go out and say, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to go and get this." But a lot of people have lost trust in BioWare, and that's assuming that they even survive. Guys, you may think that they have infinite amounts of money. I mean, EA stock is somehow doing well, probably carried by their sports games, because they're always going to be the people who go out every year and they're going to buy the latest Madden every single year. And that's what's keeping them afloat. But beyond that, they cannot keep losing money forever. Hundreds of millions of dollars lost every single year. Yeah, guys, this money is not free money. The investment firms that are pushing this money, investing these funds into these woke companies, they actually are not investing their own money. They're investing the money of consumers, very much so baby boomers. And when people start to see that their portfolios are going downhill and that they're losing money in these investments, then they're going to become ballistic and make massive demands. Ubisoft is a publicly traded company, and we can see that the investors are going absolutely ballistic right now. If Ubisoft continues to lose more money, they run the risk of being delisted from the stock exchange. And their employees are actually, many of them have been fired. Many of them are actually striking. It's an unbelievable thing that's happening, and we're basically just watching them on death row right now, waiting for them to be taken out because their company to crash and burn completely, and for them to announce that they are shuttering down, which is a great thing for all of us because then their IPs can basically be bought up, and hopefully someone the ones who buy them up will be a decent developer, although it could also end up being that the people who buy up their IPs are another woke company like EA, who really cares. They can run them into the ground for all we care. Most of us have become so disconnected from everything that we're just kind of watching it just burn down more and more and more while eating popcorn and sipping on pop or a nice cold beer. And guys, if you're enjoying the content, check out the Angry Guy Clubhouse. Inside, you'll get exclusive videos, top-tier expat and passport bro travel tips, digital nomad guides, passive income strategies, pop culture and geek culture commentary, and hard-hitting manosphere content. Free subscribers have access to videos, podcasts, articles, and the community chat, plus receive the passive income blueprint and digital nomad blueprint just for joining. Paid subscribers unlock even more value, including exclusive guides like the How to Build an Online Business in 24 Hours ebook, wealth building blueprints, and crypto updates. Join us today by clicking the link in the description and take your journey to the next level. We have a video from Hypnotic. I absolutely love his channel. His channel will be linked in the description, so you can go check him out and support him. And evidently, Dragon Age Veilgard has blacklist pronoun videos, so creators are getting DMCA strikes that expose what has happened. So there's a scene in the game where, basically someone misgenders someone and they use the wrong pronouns, and as a result of that, they have to apologize. And by apologizing, it's not just enough to apologize, but you also have to be punished for your sin. And in this case, the person goes and does push-ups. So the video was highly seen as, not something that people were necessarily aligning with, and as a result of that, they began posting it online. BioWare is now going around and issuing DMCA strikes for anyone who just shows this scene in the game. This is absolutely abnormal. So this is extraordinary amounts of censorship that they are engaging in. And these companies need to be sued. Of course, the Sims are going to be in the comments defending them and saying that what they are doing is not illegal. That is absolutely incorrect. If you are playing a game and you are doing commentary on said game, you are allowed to show scenes and clips from that game. That is how fair use works. You cannot simply say that we don't like the fact that people are responding negatively to something, or that you are criticizing our work. In fact, under fair use, you are allowed to use someone else's content for the purpose of criticism. It's literally there spelled out in the doctrine of fair use. So they are completely misusing the copyright system, the DMCA system, to censor anyone who dissents from what they're trying to push from that specific agenda. We have the video from Hypnotic. I'm going to go ahead and play it, and let's just basically listen to this BS, because this is absolutely insanity.
So Dragon Age Veilgard has officially released, and there is some gameplay that is going around on Twitter right now rampant. It is going around and going viral because it's showcasing a lot of the modern audience stuff that people have come to hear about and expect from BioWare's latest disaster. Now, when it comes to Dragon Age Veilgard, the virtue signal's at its maximum, and the game has released some decent numbers, admittedly so. It is double where I thought it was. I thought it was going to be around 30,000 concurrent players. It is currently at 68,520 players at the time of this filming. Now, I wanted you guys to keep a couple of things in mind. Number one, this is not exactly a number that's going to make them make their money back, even when you factor in, console sales, EA, Origin, because none of this stuff is selling on EA. There's a subscription that allows you to get it for free, so you don't got to worry about anybody buying it on EA. But in terms of Steam and console, it's not going to be enough for them to make their money back. But it is enough for them to try to tout this as a massive success and also do damage control to try to sell more copies like they're doing right now.
Please disperse. Nothing to see here.
Now, again, ladies and gentlemen, they could try to do as much damage control as they possibly want. They can try to, DMCA strike a whole bunch of clips on Twitter and get it taken down and whatnot. But I really don't know why they're going to do that, because at the end of the day, this game, everybody knows this is a game for the modern audience, right? Everybody knows this is a woke-ass game. There is no doubt about it, right? Whereas Baldur's Gate 3 did it better, this game just decides to go head-on right in your face with it, and they're being rewarded for it, right? BioWare has to accept the L that Larian Studios is by far more successful than they'll ever be. It's not even close. This game is trying to chase the audience of Baldur's Gate 3, and they only came up about 1/10 of that, or 1/9 of that. So let's get into this article, guys, from That Park Place. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. So again, it says BioWare allegedly scrambles to remove gameplay footage of Dragon Age Veilgard. Virtue cringe. It says propaganda in our entertainment has become a real problem, and it's one of the video game industry is just beginning to suffer under fully. After the events of 2020, many major game companies committed to bringing a consultation of companies that were supposed to help them diversify their storytelling. Instead, games of today now have been in development often since even before the pandemic tend to look more like educational courses in divisive ideas than source of universal entertainment. Now, if you guys saw my stream on Veilgard, I did a stream on Hypnotic Live. I'm going to be streaming the game continuously for the next few days to weeks or whatever on Hypnotic Live. So if you're not subscribed there, go subscribe there if you want to see the gameplay. The first stream, we had almost 7,000 people watch throughout the stream. So that was awesome. Thank you, everybody, for the support. But again, this game is literally the epitome of what it means to be DEI average, right? Like, I don't really know how else to explain it other than that. The combat is average. The graphics, average. Like, everything is average. And then when you look at it, it's like, wow, they're genuinely trying to be so androgynous to the point where everything is average and nothing really stands out. The storytelling, average. You feel like you're watching a CW show when you look at some of the cutscenes. It really is just an average game. It is a 5-4 around there. And of course, I got to go through the game to see if I can raise a score a little bit and give it some more time to cook, let's just say. But I really just don't think that's going to happen. I mean, I went through 3 or 4 areas already in the first beginning of the game for the first 4 hours. And even in those areas, all I got was a super linear, super average, super basic, super DEI experience. That's what I got. And I didn't even get to the part with Tosh and the whole non-binary nonsense yet. So I can only imagine as time goes on, it just continues to get worse. But apparently, this particular video that I'm going to showcase to you right now, this is the video right here that has been going mega viral on Twitter. And people, even Libs of TikTok retweeted it. Let's watch this video.
Pounding that snake's nose. She's still holding the ruby in her other hand. Maker's panties. I was so proud.
Oh,
Ah, shit. They're still holding it. Sorry.
what are you doing?
Pulling a barv.
Oh, okay. A barv?
Tradition in the Lords of Fortune from one of our old members, Barv. Good guy, but like most of us, his plans went sideways a lot. Bad blood among your crew's not good for morale, but there's not always time for big, drawn-out apologies. So, when one of us screws up and we know we've screwed up, we do a quick 10 to put it right. Pulling a barv. Oh, there we go.
I'm glad the Lords of Fortune have Tarsh's back.
Oh, Tarsh isn't the first non-binary member of the Lords.
Really?
It was a little before your time, but Horlicks was one of ours.
Huh.
Bastard looked better than I did in a dress or pants. And out of them, too.
Oh, my God.
Any reason you can't just apologise?
Sometimes people say, oops, sorry, and hope that fixes it. But they just want to get the whole thing over with. Trust me, I know. But pulling a barv, you sweat a little. Makes you think about it a little more. Shows the other person you mean it.
What if they mean it when they say they're sorry, though?
And that's the other reason. Some people mess up and get all dramatic. They make it about them. Oh, you know, I didn't mean it right. I'd never do that on purpose. They feel so bad about it that it's on everyone else to smooth it over and make them feel better.
Oh, okay. Yes, some people might do that.
Pulling a barv puts it on the person who screwed up. They made the mess, they fix it, done.
So that, ladies and gentlemen, is a 2-minute scene of them lambasting the character and making them grovel at the knees and the feet of this non-binary trans character. That's all this entire scene is dedicated to. This entire scene was written by somebody who has blue hair, who goes by they, them over at BioWare and has a chip on their shoulder and wants the entire world to bend the knee to their will. The moment they get misgendered, they want people to be in such fear. They want people to be so sorrowful that they're going to go and start doing push-ups and beg for an apology. Like, it's beg for forgiveness, I should say. It is ridiculous. This entire stupid scene only exists to try to make people feel bad about misgendering. And this is why I say Larian Studios is supremely better than BioWare. BioWare of today can't even come close to Larian Studios. It is actually pretty sad. This is the reason why this game is never going to get anywhere close to what Baldur's Gate 3 did. Baldur's Gate 3 was almost at 900,000 concurrent players at the time of release. This game is going to be lucky if it passes 80 to 100. And I got to be honest with you, it just goes to show that BioWare is the inferior group. Even if I refresh this, let's see, 68,520. 69,149. So it's almost at 70,000 at the time of this filming, ladies and gentlemen. If it passes 100,000, I would be very curious to see that. But at the end of the day, BioWare is going to take an L on two fronts when it comes to this game. Number one, they're not going to make their money back because the budget is way too high in this game, even though they're going to try to lie to you publicly and try to say the game is a success and all that stuff, and the journalists are going to do it too. They're not going to ever make their money back on this. Number two, they are going to have to take the L because another company did their previous games, Baldur's Gate, much better and were way more successful than they ever will be, even with something that is so on the nose for the modern audience, right? Baldur's Gate 3 did a little bit of everything. Obviously, it had some woke shit in it. There's no doubt about it, but it did a little bit of everything and it was fine. This game, full on modern audience on the nose, in your face, punching you in the face with it, and they can't even get anywhere close. So.
And of course, guys, they are making it clear that they don't care what's happening, but they do care. They absolutely do. And that's why they're trying to do this. The fact that they are rushing rapidly as well to cover up, to censor their players. Guys, this is an absolutely disgusting thing. This is such an insane level of Orwellianism. It's crazy. And this exposes the modern audience. This exposes the modern gaming industry for what it is. It needs to die and go away, so that it can be replaced by something better and by people who actually want to make games for players. But it's not going to last, guys. It definitely is not going to last. They're officially dead. They are 100% cooked. And we're just going to wait for them to, fully die off and go away. I mean, these people have led to the destruction of the modern gaming industry. But the gaming industry, people have pointed out, will not die. There will still be indie developers. There will still be AAA studios overseas in South Korea, China, Asia. And that makes the big difference, that are not pandering to these woke audiences. And they're going to they're picking up the mantle in that respect. And then there are the indie studios and smaller studios that will be putting out AA games. And those AA games will go on to fill the gap and become AAA games. Because like I said, Horizon Zero Dawn, that was not a AAA game, but it was a AA game. But using the technology that was available, they were able to put out a really beautiful game. And that's what we're going to begin seeing, where these AA games will step in and fill the gap and basically eliminate that. Because, right now we don't have a lot of AA games anymore because pretty much every AA now has to be a AAA. But with the death of the modern gaming industry and its current in its current state, we are going to see these smaller studios rise up. And I believe that companies, like a lot of people who are getting fired from these companies right now, they know how to make games. They have the skills to make games. And many of them are going to start their own smaller development studios. And then they're going to begin creating the games that we want to play. For example, you have games like, I forget the exact name of it, but it is basically the spiritual successor to the Fallout series. It was actually created by the creators of Fallout and, the people who also did Fallout New Vegas. New Vegas, of course, is highly regarded as being one of the best, if not the best, Fallout in the franchise. So what we're going to basically end up with is, it's actually called The Outer Worlds. And that was developed by the studio that created the Fallout series, and also gave us Fallout New Vegas. So that's something to look out for. Like, I think there's actually a second one coming. I don't know if the second one's out already, but we do have that, The Outer Worlds. Absolutely banger. And I have that on Switch, and I also have it on GOG, because it's so important to own stuff. Many of you guys don't want to listen. You're going to keep on buying stuff rapidly on Steam. There was one guy who basically said in the comments of one of my videos that he has $20,000 into his Steam library, which makes perfect sense. So he's basically screwed. But then he said that, he was willing to go ahead and check out GOG and give it a try. Of course, many of you are skeptical, but I've been using it. You get the installers for your games. There are no license keys or any of that crap. And every day there are more and more mainstream games that go on there. They say it's a community based on trust, but I mean, at the end of the day, this just kind of exposes that these games are not worth what they say they are, and it does not make sense to put them behind a paywall because piracy is rampant and people can go and scoop these up anywhere anyway. But at the same time, you run a lot of risk when you have to deal with piracy. If you build it, they will come. If you give people a place where they can buy their games, buy their media and content at reasonable prices and at a good experience, that's what all that they need. And we're seeing that GOG is beginning to grow rapidly. And many of you are like, they eventually get rid of the whole, free DR, no DRM thing. And if they do, that's going to be the beginning of the end for their service.
All because we do not want identity politics shoved in our faces. Now, of course, there have been a lot of accounts on social media covering this game, and I think that they are just being, inundated with a lot of criticism, so they're freaking out. They don't know how to deal with it, which it's kind of shocking given the last few releases from BioWare have all been major failures or been highly criticized, but we are allowed to say we do not want identity politics shoved in our faces. Why in a fantasy game with dragons and elves do I need my character to decide whether they are transgender or non-binary? Why are we using modern terminology like transgender and non-binary in my freaking fantasy game? That takes me completely out of the story. And then you have, of course, things like top surgery scar toggles. It's just absolutely absurd in my opinion. And sure, there are people out there who are going to use it, all 5 of those individuals, because this does not appeal to the majority of gamers. You are making content for a small audience that probably isn't going to end up showing up. While we do not have all of the player numbers yet, it is currently sitting at 66,000 right now. All-time peak was 70,414, which, hey, is not terrible, I suppose. But if you compare it to other games that have launched that have been in established franchises, like Hogwarts Legacy, for example, we're talking about 879,000 people. And sure, Hogwarts is massive. Harry Potter is a behemoth franchise, but we're still not talking about crazy numbers here. And never mind if you compare it to numbers from studios who have only put out one single game, like Black Myth Wukong, 2.4 million players here. Crazy numbers. And right now, funny enough, Dragon Age the Veilgard is being beaten out in player numbers by the Monster Hunter Wilds beta. It's only running for a few days. And while, yes, that is free, we're talking about 350,000 people testing that versus 70,000 for Dragon Age. So the media is also trying to spin that, though right now BioWare is freaking out over all of the backlash. They are banning anybody with the quote wrong opinions. They are trying to silence us, and it's not going to turn out positively for them. It's going to cause people to make videos, to take to X and other social platforms and voice how unhappy they are. And the more you try to silence people, the worse it's going to get for you. And I don't think that this is going to get any better anytime soon. I think that this is going to continue to get worse. People are also commenting things like BioWare's approach: silence any opinion that doesn't align with their approved narrative. There's no fixing the game at this point, so better to censor criticism.
The game is definitely dead. It's not going to come back. It will not rise from the ashes. And you can see already they know that it's dead. That's one of the reasons why they are basically not going to be putting out any DLC for it and trying to move on to the next Mass Effect. And they're the same studios, they're the same developers. There's some of you jokers that are like, no, Angry, it's the same publisher and it's the same company, but there's different developers. And, don't blame one development team for the actions of another development team. It's the same developer, little bro, okay? If you look at Ghost of Yotai, the developers themselves decided to switch over from Jin from making a sequel to Ghost of Tsushima. They had literally had it in the works. They gutted it and decided that they were going to go and create Ghost of Yotai. And Sony was completely shocked by this decision. Am I shocked? Absolutely not. I am not shocked whatsoever. But they're saying that Sony did not know. It's hard for me to believe that Sony did not know that this was going to happen and that they had made this massive change. Although it wouldn't surprise me if BlackRock stepped in and basically let the studio know, hey, listen, Sony doesn't own you. We own you. You're going to do what we tell you to do, or else, there's going to be discipline happening in this house. And they switched up gears. But guys, what do you think regarding this? They're officially dead. Dragon Age the Veilgard is absolutely dead. And BioWare is on its way out the door, just like Ubisoft. Both companies are basically on death row at this point. Let me know your thoughts and we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA. Men walking away, and cheers.